So, lots has happened since the last upload. I'm not gonna delve into all the crucial details here, as this video is going to be quick, just displaying something that I've been working extremely hard on and that I'm monumentously proud of. But, well, in regards specifically to where I've been for the past nearly 2 months, well, pertaining to this little art project of mine, that's what I've been doing in terms of creative work. I decided a month and a half ago, out of the blue, that I wanted to attempt to do a series of portraits of individuals who have inspired me, my lifestyle, and my artistic and research work. I ended up picking 11 different people who I consider to be intellectuals, and I followed no tutorials. I completely went off of copying photographs of these individuals, and unfortunately, due to other events that have now transpired and new enlightenments of mine, I was only able to finish 6 of the figures, but 5 pages, as well, 2 of them are on one together, and you'll understand why once I show it. The rest will have to be done at a later date in the future. So, I think I've teased you enough. But let me just say, these are the greatest, as of current, the greatest drawings I've ever done. This is what I've been doing this past little while. I know my fate. One day my name will be associated with the memory of something tremendous, a crisis without equal on earth, The most profound collision of conscience conjured up against everything that had been believed, demanded, howled so far. Where you see ideals, I see what is human. Alas, all too human. The darkness which clings to every personality is the door into the unconscious, and the gateway of dreams, from which those two twilight figures, the shadow and the anima, step into our nightly visions, or, remaining invisible, take possession of our ego consciousness. As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light of meaning in the darkness of mere being. I am black. I am in total fusion with the world, in sympathetic affinity with the earth, losing my id in the heart of the cosmos. And the white man, however intelligent he may be, is incapable of understanding Louis Armstrong or songs from the Congo. I am black not because of a curse, but because my skin has been able to capture all the cosmic effluvia. I am truly a drop of sun into the earth. In the colonial context, the settler only ends his work of breaking in the native when the latter admits, loudly and intelligibly, the supremacy of the white man's values. The oppressed are allowed every few years to decide which particular representatives of the oppressing class are to represent and repress them. The middle classes have a truly extraordinary conception of society. They really believe that human beings have real existence only if they make money or help to make it. A specter is haunting Europe, the specter of communism. All the powers of old Europe have entered into a holy alliance to exorcise this specter. Pope and Tsar, Metternich and Goizat, French radicals and German police spies. Where is the party in opposition that has not been decried as communistic by its opponents in power? Where is the opposition that has not hurled back the branding reproach of communism against the more advanced opposition parties, as well as against its reactionary adversaries? Two things result from this fact. One, communism is already acknowledged by all European powers to be itself a power. Two, it is high time that communists should openly, in the face of the whole world, publish their tendencies, their aims, their views, and meet the nursery tale of the specter of communism with a manifesto of the party itself. There is but one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide. Judging whether life is or is not worth living amounts to answering the fundamental question of philosophy. All the rest, whether or not the world has three dimensions, whether the mind has 9 or 12 categories, comes afterwards. These are games. One must first answer. There is only a way of looking at things, a way that comes to you every once in a while. That's why it's good to have had love in your life after all, to have had an unhappy passion. It gives you an alibi for the vague despairs we all suffer from. So, yep, this is, well, this is the half completed version of, well, portion of this little project. I did the masculine figures first because that's who had predominantly, well, when I first started, had come to mind. But for the feminine figures, which will be the next 5, well, like I said, that's going to have to wait, but I'm very much looking forward to getting started on that when I can. I'll have to use some new equipment compared to, well, what I've been using here for the last month. So, yes, they're done entirely out of blue pen, all of them in terms of the figure sketching and shading, and, well, colored marker, well, marker pen as well for the thought projections. And that's the key thing, the trait of, well, that I wanted to have for this series is that their skulls, all the figure skulls in some way would be cracked open, and basically it was supposed to be as if their inner desires and observations of the world, their views on human nature and society were, and their interpersonal affairs in some manner, were basically, well, shooting out of their craniums. And stylistically, I also figured that, well, and symbolically as well for that, I'd make their mouthpieces and eyes the same coloration as the inner thoughts. But if they had, well, facial hair, I would, instead of coloring the actual mouth area as it would be too little, I'd actually just shade their beards or mustaches the color of their thoughts, and if it was just their lips, well, exposed, then that would be it. So, yeah, I'm astonished that I was able to do this. And once again, I will reiterate, no, I have never once taken an art class. I've never done any sort of practice similar to this in this much detail. I've never looked up tutorials on how to. I literally decided one day that I was going to just attempt to do it from going off of the photographic images of them. And it was trying to do this, very trying, as some procrastination trauma would come rolling back in, as well, obviously from past experiences with similar things, but um, mainly is what was the trigger for that. I know is that when I first decided to do it, so Nietzsche was the first one that I did. I did this portrait in one day, one whole day, only one day. I didn't take breaks or extensive breaks. I powered through drawing this entire thing all in daylight hours. And I was incredibly proud of myself for it. And then I thought I could do the same for the other four. Obviously not. As I went into more detail than I did with Friedrich on Carl here, and that's what kickstarted a bit more of the in-depth shading, especially what culminated in being, well, this display of Albert Camus. So it took me about a week and a half to do Young. It took me, I think, probably, it might have been around this, about, okay, so a week and a half and a week and a half for Young and Fanon. It took me nearly 2 weeks to do Marks and Angles, and then it took me another week and a half to do Camus. And yes, you'll notice the others are laminated because I want to have some protection for them. But Albert here isn't laminated yet because, well, I pulled an all-nighter last night to finish this. And, well, unfortunately, the local printing store is closed for, well, today and the next day, so I'll have to wait on that. But, yeah. To just explain a bit of the actual symbols for those who don't know. I'll just go over them quickly. So for each one, I wanted to have at least one personal, uh, very personal item to the figures. At least one. Now that didn't fully end up working with Carl and Friedrich here because, well, there wasn't really enough room and I couldn't find really anything that was significant enough in terms of online sources of their life stories. So, well, I'll explain in a second. So, personal items would be here. I have it's the opening bar of the music, of the sheet music for Nietzsche's song Ein Schlewenschnitt. And here is Jung's carving from that he did at his estate in Belgium in Switzerland on blue sandstone that he titled Lupius Philosophorum. Here it was just I decided to put the BDSM symbol for Fanon because, well, from interpersonal tellings of, well, individuals in his life and also clearly of his writings in regards to his work in outlining sexuality, especially in relation to, well, African studies. Well, he was sexually a consensual sadist in some manner. And he also helped advance, well, understandings in such directions. So I decided, why not make that it? Also because of the room for it. Again, with Marx and Engels, there really wasn't much to do, so I decided you could technically take his statements on organized religion being the addiction of the working class, which he had suffered greatly under religious repression when he was young as well. So that could be the personal item. And for Engels, in terms of his past, well, in relation to his upper class family lines business enterprise, well, Erman and Engels cotton mills, what I get could be counted as, well, the personal item. And then for Camus, it was just, I attempted to draw an ashtray with a lit cigarette in it. It's a bit hard to see. I didn't have much coloration variant for that, difference in variation, but, well, it's something. And then, okay, I'll just quickly, I'll go over the rest. Going against a herd mentality to achieve your own personal self-growth and greatness, the dismantling of religious validation, a cracked or, well, snapped Christian cross, a shattering Jewish Star of David, a melting Islamic crescent moon, Lou Andreas Salome, as of Nietzsche's absolute infatuation with her, that contributed to his sad ending to his life. Concept of his of the overman, and those who are able to trudge forth into the unknown against the abyssal of nihilistic dread. Expelling of his former musical idol, Richard Wagner. Jung's concept of the collective unconscious, the biblical analysis of the merging of the sun and the moon, representing the merging of the disturbing and positive elements of the human psyche, the concept of the persona, the concept of the shadow, the personal complexes of the conscious and subconscious mind, and the Nemus and Anima, of his observations of shared gender traits between, well, the sexes, the Black Power symbol with, well, Pan-African coloration, Franz's theoretical concept of white mass, black skin, which would later go on to develop the notions of internalized racism, representation of the cultural annihilation and destruction of ethnic background through forcive colonialism, his notions of violent liberation as relieving an inferiority complex of those who have been subjugated. Oh, yes, sorry, my mistake as well. Sorry, I'm tired. And his wife, Josie, who was a political activist and also, like him, involved with reformations during the Algerian independence movement. Engels' observations of the housing crisis of the English proletariat, obviously his father's company, the shadow control of the working class, how they're pitted against one another for economic survival and fundamentally destroyed by it. Marx's concept of false consciousness in regards to the actual societal operations of one's environment. His wife, Jenny, who was an advocate for the working class and was involved with many of his writings for socialist newspapers, and Engels' wife, Mary, who worked in his father's mill, and, well, actually that's how they ended up meeting each other, and later became highly involved with the labor movements in Germany at the time. And, well, obviously the myth of Sisyphus as reorganized by Camus. I tried drawing one of those infinite figure eights. It kind of screwed up, so I just kept going with it, and it looked pretty well. And the idea of new goal, end goal, that it just endlessly repeats in the human subconscious, forward driven towards his concept of becoming estranged to yourself, or allowing yourself to be comfortable with having disillusionment to your own, well, sense of identity, and the continuous resistance of human beings, or certain human beings, against the absurdity and, well, pessimism of the world around us. Yeah, I'm really, really happy with these. I'm glad that I took the time to do them whilst I've been here. I am blown away. In the span of 5 to 6 months, with no further practice in relation to anything this extravagant, I went from this style of drawing, I went from all these immediately to this. That's, as far as I'm concerned, an enormous achievement. Never showed these, actually, in a video yet, so why not? Made a post about him, but why not? I think I'll let you infer what they mean. So, the next 5 figures will be Lou Salome, Chimamanda Adichie, Bailey Shelsbach, Ash Marie, and Karen Horney, when I get the chance to make them. I'll also post pictures of these to the community tab. And I hope you enjoyed seeing them, as I damn well enjoyed making them. Alright. Next video will be trying but necessary.